watch the voting record. It's going to be revisit of Senator Cruz. Those are some of his three top items. Now, moving on to Donald Trump, I think there's no question here at all that he is going to take on Ted Cruz. He's been doing it in campaign rallies. He said that he was beholden to the oil companies. He said that he erased the fact that he's born in Cuba and he's an evangelical. So watch Donald Trump to go after Ted Cruz hard. Of course, he's gaining on him in Iowa and across the country. Finally, Chris Christie. I'm watching the comeback of Chris Christie. He's back on the main debate stage after being relegated to the undercard debate 1 month ago. And the issue set in this campaign is lining up nearly perfectly for Chris Christie. His advisors believe he will talk a lot about global terrorism. He'll talk a lot about his experience and look for him to question the experience of Senator Marco Rubio and Senator Ted Cruz. So those are three of the things, of many things we're watching here tonight. Anderson?
Jeff, thanks very much. A really big deal for Christie to be able to get back onto the main stage after being on the running up stage. That, of course, is going to be the first debate coming up tonight. 4 candidates on that stage. That's what we are getting ready for just shortly. As we continue counting down to the start of tonight's debates, I want to bring in CNN's Kate Baldwin. She's in the spin room where the candidates and representatives of their campaigns will be trying to put the best possible light on tonight's performances, sometimes even before those performances begin. Kate, have any of the candidates actually been by to do some pre-spinning?
Yeah, pre-spinning. I think that's a new word we'll have to use, Anderson. Yeah, even before the candidates have taken the stage tonight, the spinning has already begun in the spin room. Dr. Ben Carson, he actually came through here just moments ago to kind of take a tour. I went up and actually reminded him the last time that I met up with him in a spin room was just before his first debate, our debate in California. Listen to this.
Last time we met in the spin room, it was your first debate when we were in California. What's different about this debate?
Well, I've had an opportunity to go through the process a few times, so you feel a little more comfortable with it.
But foreign policy is something that you face a lot of criticism on, a lot of articles written, that's your weakness.
That's why I'm looking forward.
That's
why I'm looking forward to some questions about foreign policy. I can demonstrate that that's not true.
Since the last debate, you've seen a big problem in the polls, nationally and even in places like Iowa, a key state for you. What do you attribute to the drop in the polls and how are you going to change it tonight?
Well, I attribute it to the increased attention on security and terrorism. And I'm considered a nice guy who's not tough enough to deal with those things. Hopefully I can demonstrate that I still am a nice guy, but can deal with those things.
And so you see right there, I mean, he lays out for us how high the stakes are for him tonight, even before going into the debate. And they're even higher, I would argue, tonight than before previous debates. Stike, give him a tour of this spin room. It's bigger than past spin rooms, I will say. Remember, we are less than 50 days now, Anderson, to the first votes. And this room will very soon be packed with the 600 credentialed media from across the country and around the globe. This really being the last major media moment of 2015 for the candidates and the last chance for them to face off before all of these cameras and all of this attention this year. Anderson?
Yeah, it's about to get very, very crowded there. Kate, thanks very much. We are waiting for the start of the Republican debate here at the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas. What's it going to take to win this crucial showdown? Let's bring in our CNN political commentators, Dan Pfeiffer, S.E. Cupp, Anna Navarro, and of course joined here by the one and only Chris Cuomo. Dan, what are you going to be looking for tonight? I mean, obviously you're a Democrat. What are you going to be wanting to see on that stage?
Well, from just a perspective of trying to study the race, I'm very curious to see how Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio will engage. I think they're the two people with the best chance to be the nominee. If it's not going to be Trump, I'm going to see how they debate both national security and immigration. And then just from a Democratic perspective, we're going to be looking for every single thing that they say that we could be used in a general election to motivate our base.
Do you see Cruz and Rubio going after each other?
I think that is more likely than Trump and Cruz going after each other, or at least Cruz going after Trump.
Because they both see themselves as kind of playing a long game and long-term rivals.
Right, and I think Cruz is now standing in Rubio's way. He has sort of blunted his momentum. He's jumped to the front of the pack as the anti-Trump front runner, and I think Rubio's got to make a move here to try to discredit Cruz on national security. I think that is Rubio's number one objective tonight.
Well, if he has a mark to make, that would be Rubio's mark. He has comported himself very well with national security, putting aside SC how his positions help him within and without the base. Right?
Well, it's such an interesting dynamic between Cruz and Rubio on foreign policy right now, because for the past few months, Ted Cruz has come under some scrutiny within the party for pejoratively calling other Republicans neocons, which no good Republican should ever do. Sort of an unwritten rule. As Jeff Zeleny mentioned, his record showing up at the Armed Services Committee public hearings, something like 17 out of 50 he's only been to. People have been questioning that. His position on Syrian intervention, his position on NSA metadata collection have put him in a very strange, almost Rand Paul-like kind of position within the party. As we all know, terrorism is a top concern for Americans right now. So Marco Rubio's job tonight will be to paint Ted Cruz as inconsistent on foreign policy, not the kind of tough, hawkish foreign policy leader we need right now for this moment, and sort of put his own hawkish foreign policy out there as the grown-up version of a foreign policy in the room.
We're not talking about your guy much today, Jeb Bush. When he comes into tonight, what are the expectations for him? How does he make that moment? Is there strategy thinking like that motivating him into the time?
Look, I think he's, this is a game of low expectations at this point for Jeb Bush. That can turn into an asset. Frankly, all he needs is to be able to, have one good line, to create a good moment, to have some stylistic authority up there, and it might change the narrative. Jeb, at this point, I think, realizes he's in a turnaround campaign. He needs to get people to give him a second look. And, I think that there is going to be this firework between Cruz and Rubio, and that opens up a space for somebody like a Jeb, like a Christie, to say, boys, now take this playground fight outside, and, let's let the men with the experience talk about how we're going to take care of ISIS.
But has he been, do we know if he's been practicing? Has he been trying to change his debate strategy? Because, I feel like we've had this discussion now, I can't remember how many times.
Oh, I can. Would you like me to?
But it never has happened. Do we know, has he been trying any new, cereal or something?
Well, look, for the last debate, I can tell you that I literally sent him a plate of nails with a side of bacon to eat for breakfast. Look, I think we've read that he's hired a media coach. I don't know how much he's been working with him, frankly, and Jeb is a policy guy. It is very hard for him to embrace and accept the theatrics. But I think, he has realized that the theatrics is part of the job description that comes for running for president, that comes in being a primary, and either you embrace it or their voters are not going to embrace you.
Well, we'll see what happens tonight. We are nearing the first round of tonight's Republican debate coming up. Will Donald Trump and Ted Cruz continue to play nice? Or are we in for a memorable confrontation?
Well, so as you can clearly see, the studio is not built or ready for this yet, but I thought that it would be worth coming on for this debate, and I will be live commenting when I feel like I have something to say, and if not, we'll just be watching it together. Hopefully in the future, we will be able to communicate, and I will be able to bring you online, and we can all discuss it real time. But until then, and until the debate starts, enjoy.
Sit down and have a meal together. That's why Trivago gathers all these prices into one place to start the conversation. So, in 2016 and beyond, visit Trivago to empower yourself and to find your ideal hotel for the best price. I'm the Trivago guy, and I approve this message. Hotel Trivago.
Attention neighbors, I just got a great night's sleep on my Baby Rest mattress, so I'm feeling refreshed, recharged, and ready to go. Means for the next 24 hours, I will be a coiled cobra of energy and enthusiasm, ready to strike. 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 That is all. Ready to strike.
The Beauty Rest Recharge line with pocketed coil technology. Get your beauty rest.
Researchers discovered a protein that supports a healthier brain, now available in the supplement Prevagen. Prevagen has been clinically shown to improve memory. It's safe and effective for support of a healthier brain, a sharper mind, and clearer thinking. Try Prevagen today.
I'm taking this woman to hell.
She's with a fortune.
Yeah, that money's mine, boys.
Everyone wants a piece. Oh, that's interesting. Yes. We're in a place full of killers. One of y'all is working with her. Now, in confession, you're gonna get a book. Rob, Dad, you can never guess who. I'm looking at you. You or you. It's playing cool. The ugliest guy did it. Don't forget to start seeing convention on December 31st.
Anderson, fix the lights. From the very minute you have this idea that you want to be in business, you need to have that card.
Presentation is everything because they're not only first impression of you, but now you're handing them this product that really is kind of going to define your business in their mind pretty quickly. They want a very thick card that feels nice in your client's hand.
I think it's nice to have a choice because sometimes you want a glossy card, but for other projects, I don't necessarily want all that.
Your business card is a reflection of you. It should say exactly what you want. With a range of design, stock, and finish options at Vistaprint, it will. Get 500 business cards starting at just $9.99. Just enter promo code TV500 at Vistaprint.com. That business card, when I make a connection with someone, has to be phenomenal. It has to be elegant and invoke all the things that diamond stands for. Just that professionalism is going to make you, as a business owner, more successful. Just right off the bat. Vistaprint.com.
A special post-debate day tomorrow, 5:45 a.m. Eastern on CNN.
We're at the Venetian in Las Vegas. We're getting ready for the first of two big debates here tonight. That's a look outside. We'll now show you a look inside, and it is filling up behind us right now. You have blue suits, you have gray suits, you have dappling of bald spots, you have many women in red, and people wishing each other luck, but not meaning it. That can only mean one thing. It is GOP debate night, and the stakes are very high. The focus, national security. The candidates will be trying to project the qualities voters expect of a commander-in-chief.
Damn, Cuomo, how much putty do you have on that face?
Senior political reporter Nia Anderson. We have CNN senior political analyst Ron Brownstein, also the National Journal's editorial director, and CNN anchor and political commentator Michael Smerconish. I am Chris Cuomo. You have the one and only Anderson Cooper. So, Nia, as we head into tonight, there's been a lot made about the recent polls. Banning Muslims, a good thing for Donald Trump. The move down for Ben Carson, a good thing for Ted Cruz. They are now teed up as something to watch as a tandem tonight. Do you buy that? If so, why?
I don't buy that there's going to necessarily be sort of a breakout fight between these two folks, Trump and Ted Cruz. I think Ted Cruz is going to be able to pretty effectively parry this. He might turn it back to Wolf Blitzer, go into the whole, you want to get us to fight thing, and I'm not going to do it. But I do think Ted Cruz.
Am I the only one bothered that this is what debate has come to in America? That all we care about is the fight between two candidates, that we're not actually talking about the issues? I would recommend, if you appreciate political debate and you appreciate election debate, to go watch the Democratic debate with Rachel Maddow, whether you like Democrats or Republicans. To me, that's how the people who want to become president of this country should be questioned on national TV. So, FYI.
And terrorism kind of energizes his portion of the base. But I agree with Nia. I think that the key fight may be Rubio as the third person in this race who we've been waiting for to kind of step up. Many people in the media have been expecting him to kind of consolidate that center-right bracket that Bush, Kasich, and Christie have failed to consolidate. It hasn't happened. It probably won't even happen tonight, but I think he will. He seems to have the clearest incentive to go after Cruz from the right, on national security, on terrorism, on intervention abroad, and he signaled, I think, that that's coming. And a big opportunity, though, for Chris Christie. Not only is he back on the main stage after being on the smaller stage in the previous debate, I mean, this is a topic which he feels plays to his strength.
He's distinguished himself, I think, thus far in the debates that we've already had when he touts his credentials as a former U.S. attorney, as someone who's eager to prosecute, he says, the case against Hillary Clinton, and so often invoking September 11 and the role that he played thereafter. So if I were looking at those establishment-type Republicans, Jeb and Marco and Kasich and Christie, I agree. I think it's an opportunity for Chris Christie
among that group.
All right, some optics. Anderson Cooper right to point out that Christie should get a pat on the back for making it off the undercard onto the top table. We haven't seen that kind of move out of that group since Carly Fiorina. She didn't make the most of it. Christie seems to be doing it with a ground game in New Hampshire. Right. Hopefully that helps him if one state a trend can make. The other one is what's being done to Trump within the larger establishment, the radio world. Coming after that. You do very well. You're a beautiful addition to it. He's getting attacked from some of his own, once friends, now coming after Trump.
And
Explain
I think
the dynamic and the implications.
So I think you're making reference to Rush Limbaugh, Mark Levin, Sean Hannity, all of whom in the last couple of days have had some negative things to say about Donald Trump. They have supplanted the party leadership in the span of the last 30 years. You know, it used to be that you have to pay your dues if you were an elected official, be a backbencher, rise through seniority. Today,
well,
you
now
say
you know why
something
the Republicans are going to
you
shit.
become a fundraising juggernaut.
You're
you get
led by
touted
Sean
on cable
Hannity.
television news, not ours, and talk radio, and you become a superstar. So it matters. It matters what they say.
But they've been going after Trump only because of his criticism of Ted
Cruz, right? Because Cruz is sort of the chosen one thus far among that group.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important who they're for.
It is, and you've seen the establishment try to make this argument against Trump that he's not a real conservative. Jeb Bush has done it, but if you're in the talk radio world, they have the real credibility to make this case, and Tarham is not quite a conservative, as sort of a faux conservative. I do think it's good that he has Sarah Palin in his corner, because she obviously has Donald Trump has Sarah Palin in his corner, because she has some credibility as well in that talk radio world.
When you talk to the strategists who are kind of filtering in here for the debate from the various campaigns in general in the party, they see a pretty clear path for Cruz and for Trump into the finals of this race. Cruz consolidating evangelical voters in Iowa, getting a nod from that will radiate to other states, and trying to move beyond that to other conservatives in the Tea Party and portions of the Libertarian movement. Trump is a dominant position among blue-collar Republicans at 46% in that Washington Post ABC poll in a 14-person race. The big question is who, if anyone, is that third candidate in the race out of Rubio, Kasich, Bush, Christie, who can really bring together more of that center-right, more white-collar, more established.
Ron, to your point,
no one has done it yet.
To your point, I wonder if Chris Christie, instead of focusing on Donald Trump, is better served for focusing on Marco Rubio,
And he is.
focusing on the 3 or 4% that Jeb Bush has.
You don't have to be faster than the bear. You have to be faster than your friend. And in New Hampshire, the candidate who finishes at the top of that group probably has a boost going forward in terms of trying to consolidate that part of the party that is without a candidate at this moment. And Rubio continues to kind of tilt toward the right in a way that makes him perhaps less focused on that group than you would expect.
Key point. That's what you often say to me. I don't have to be faster than the guys who are coming after us. I just have to be faster than you.
Yeah.
See, apply in different contexts because it hurts when he says it. To me, Marco Rubio, topic of discussion, and a good reason. He is now among the top 3 or 4 in the field by most polls. What will happen for him tonight? We have one of the senator's top advisors joining us. Come back for that.
The two people could just fall in love with each other.
Senator Helen Carroll is one of the year's very best films.
If you can't have me, I can't see my daughter.
Now nominated for Golden Globe Awards, including Best Picture of the Year.
I won't deny the truth.
Carroll, rated R.
While you're watching this, I'm hacking your company, grabbing your data, stealing your customers' secrets. There's an army of us, relentlessly unpicking your patchwork of security. You think you'll spot us? You haven't so far.
The next wave of the internet requires the next wave of security. We're ready. Are you?
All right, team, we got an F-150 needs a systems check and tires. Treds, what you got?
Looking a little bald, sir. With all due respect, got the perfect fit. Ready to roll.
Wheels up, flaps down. Let's fly.
The big tire event ends soon. Hurry to get a $140 rebate by mail on 4 select tires.
Ford parts, Ford tools, Ford techs. When your Ford needs service, there's one elite team. These are the specialists. At Ford.
Citizen introduces the Satellite Wave World Time GPS with the world's fastest reception time. It recognizes 40 time zones for worldwide accuracy, with the shortest charging time and longest power reserve of any satellite watch.
Powered by light. Any light. Citizen satellite wave technology. The most accurate timekeeping system on Earth.
What average underwear feels like. What Duluth Trading Buck Naked underwear feels like. Duluth Trading Buck Naked underwear feels like wearing nothing at all. No pinch, no stink, no sweat. Get up there. Only at DuluthTrading.com.
Single-handedly created the industry. We could influence the world. How much of an ass do you have to be to be successful? Power? What is that?
Steve Jobs, the man in the machine. January 3rd at 9 on CNN.
We've got a small business, and we needed a new website.
I talked to a web design company, but they wanted to charge me a fortune.
Then I heard about web.com.
Said they would build me a custom website for free.
We just thought, there's no way.
Then I called them up.
And then they built it for me.
A custom website built free. Who would have thought?
If you call the experts at web.com now, we'll build you a new custom website absolutely free. Then we'll list your website in hundreds of places online so new customers can easily find you. If you're happy with your new website, we'll continue to provide promotion, hosting, support, and maintenance, all for one low monthly fee. If not, cancel and pay nothing.
And when they say nothing, they really mean nothing.
Call right now and get a free .com or .net domain name for your new website powered by VeriSign, the world's leading domain name provider. You say it, we build it free. It's as easy as web.com.
Call 1-800-419-1714 today.
This is CNN, the world's news network.
And welcome back. We're waiting the start of the big Republican debate here on CNN. It is the first GOP debate since the slaughters in Paris and San Bernardino. The focus, national security. It is all happening on a day when Los Angeles schools are shut down by a terror scare that New York decided not to shut down their schools for. Joining us now is Alex Conant, the communications director for Marco Rubio's campaign. A potentially very big night, obviously, for your candidate. This is a subject which he has spent a lot of time on, a subject he feels very comfortable talking about. What are you expecting to see tonight from his opponents, and how much of an attack do you expect from a Cruz, from a Donald Trump?
No, you're right. Senator Rubio is on the Senate Select Intelligence Committee. He's on the Foreign Relations Committee, one of the only Republicans that's on both those committees. He's been talking about these issues, ISIS, Syria, national security, for longer than just about anybody else in the race. I mean, he's really been focused on it for the last 4.5 years in the Senate. He doesn't just talk about it. He's actually a practitioner of foreign policy. He's traveled around the world. And a lot of what we're seeing now happening in Syria are things he warned about years ago. He said if we don't do anything about Syria, it's going to create a vacuum. A terror group like ISIS is going to fill it. And eventually that threat is going to come here to the homeland. That's exactly what we're seeing now.
I travel around the world too, so am I practicing foreign policy?
Talk tough and say the current administration is weak.
Fucking
that
idiots.
Secretary Clinton was part
And they
of that
get paid
weakness,
for this
so
shit.
That she should be disqualified from. That's the main line you're going to hear at the GOP as you see it. However, the trick is, what would you do differently than what is being done right now? That's hard to say about national security. What will the senator's answers be?
Well, I don't want to get ahead of what he's going to say tonight, but he's been very clear about what we should be doing in the Mideast and what we should be doing in Syria specifically, creating a safe zone for moderate rebels that we can work with. But he's been warning about this for years, and the problem's gotten harder.
Because of what to do.
Yeah, and
a lot of the things that you wind up suggesting are what they're trying to do right now.
Yeah, and again, that's exactly what he's going to be talking about tonight. I think that the more substantive the debate can be, the more he's allowed to talk about specifics, able to talk about specifics, and what he would do as commander-in-chief. I think that will really accrue to our benefit.
There's been a lot of talk about him going head-to-head against Cruz on the campaign trail. He's referred to Cruz as an isolationist. Do you expect? Should we?
So I thought we were just attacked in San Bernardino. So how can you create safe zones in Syria if we get attacked in San Bernardino? Nobody's going to ask him about that, though.
That's the legislation that funds our troops, that funds the Iron Dome for Israel. He voted to gut our U.S. intelligence programs, to rip out core parts of the Patriot Act that that our intelligence agents use to keep us safe. And he's, his record on foreign policy just isn't as strong as Senator Rubio's is. So, I expect Wolf will want to talk about that tonight, and we're happy to lay out the contrasts.
Did you see what just happened there, by the way?
I did.
My man Conant doesn't want to get ahead of the senator when I ask him, but then gives you a laundry list of what Cruz's shortcomings.
I'm just stating the record.
So it's going to be interesting tonight to see how Senator Rubio deals with who's in front of him and who's behind him in the polls.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping by.
Appreciate it. A lot more coming up. The final showdown of the year, the Republican presidential candidates, and for some of them, it may be the final chance to actually make their mark and stay in the very race. We're waiting to start the GOP debate live here on CNN. Full coverage just ahead.
I would have loved for one of them to have followed up and ask, so how do you create a safe zone in Syria? How do you create a safe zone anywhere from terrorism? That's just a silly thing to say. So, but of course there will be no follow-up questions. They don't care because this is just theater. Your voting is not theater. You going out and voting for a candidate, that's not theater. But everything that surrounds this has nothing to do with informing you about the issues that we need to talk about. We need to talk about climate. Guarantee you they probably won't talk about that in any real sense. We need to talk about what does working for a living, what will that look like in the future with automation, with artificial intelligence. Those are the subjects that we need to discuss. Those are the things that are important for our future. None of that will be talked about, excuse me, tonight.
Did you know MSC Cruises is the largest privately owned cruise line in the world, with 12 ultra-modern ships sailing to over 150 destinations worldwide? And now, for a limited time, cruise the Caribbean on MSC Cruises and save a lot with our exclusive 2-for-1 offer. Book a balcony stateroom and your guest sails for free. That's 2 for the price of 1, an incredible value. This money-saving 2-for-1 offer won't last. Book your Caribbean vacation now and journey to one exotic tropical island paradise after another. Call your travel agent or visit msccruises.com.
We're always happy, lives we live in, that's our philosophy.
Hi, I'm Heather Cox on location with the famous Big Idaho Potato Truck.
Our truck.
It's touring across America telling people about Idaho potatoes.
Let's go, boys.
Again this year, the Big Idaho Potato Truck is traveling the country, spreading the word about heart-healthy Idaho potatoes and making donations to local charities.
Excuse me, miss. Is it our truck?
You just missed it.
Man, are you kidding me?
You can't deal with something by ignoring it. But that's how some presidential candidates seem to be dealing with Social Security. Americans work hard and pay into it. So our next president needs a real plan to keep it strong. Hey, candidates, answer the call already.
Style lets you stand out from the herd. What's inside sets you apart. The 2016 Cadillac Escalade.
And welcome back. We are live here on CNN. We are waiting the start of the first Republican debate tonight here at the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas. A very exciting night. The room is already nearly full to capacity with people, some 1,400 or so people waiting for the start of this debate, the undercard debate. The first 4 candidates will be taking the stage in several minutes. as this debate gets underway.
A lot of energy. This is the last debate of 2015. This is the last moment of seeing these men and this woman together before you go home for Christmas or Festivus or whatever it is, and talk about who you like and who you don't. And for some of the people tonight, this may be their last best chance to make a break. And that's why there's so much desperation about making a moment tonight. But national security is tricky. There's a lot of fear in this country. Tough talk may not be enough for some of America.
Especially on this day, not only in the wake of the San Bernardino attacks, the terror attack in Paris as well. We've seen the Los Angeles school system shut down today. So there's a lot of national security issues to talk about. Chris Christie making the jump from the undercard, the undercard debate, which he was in the last GOP debate. He is now back on the main stage with top tier candidates. So a lot to look forward to tonight. I want to check in with our John Berman, who is backstage. John, what's the scene where you are?
Backstage at the Venetian, Anderson. I just saw Wolf Blitzer walk by, the debate moderator. He was with Dana Bash and Hugh Hewitt. They will be asking questions as well. They have now walked through that door right there, and they're now on the debate stage itself. Over there is the door where the candidates will be emerging any minute now. We are any minute. The undercard debate will get started. We've seen the campaign staffs scurrying about backstage right here. One other thing I want to show you right now, 5 lecterns. These will be added after the first debate for the prime time debate. Begins at 8:30 Eastern time. Jeb Bush, Chris Christie, all ready to go right there. This, the last debate of 2015. There are some changes, some new features in the debate tonight that could have a big impact in what we will see. Number one, Ted Cruz, by function of where he stands in the polls, he will be center stage right next to Donald Trump. That is a position occupied once by Jeb Bush, once by Scott Walker. Will he face the peril? Will he face the wrath of Donald Trump just inches away from him? Chris Christie, as you mentioned, he's back on the main stage after a brief engagement in the undercard debate. It'll be interesting to see where Chris Christie trains his fire. Will he talk about Donald Trump, or could it be he needs to figure out a way to get more support in the establishment lane, which means he'll talk about Marco Rubio. Finally, the format. 75 seconds to answer questions from Wolf Blitzer and the panel. You get 30 seconds if someone names your name, calls you out. 30 seconds to respond to that. One other thing, there will be opening statements and closing statements. I always think the opening statements are very interesting. You get a sense of where these candidates will go. They get a chance to set the tone, which will be a long and exciting night. Chris?
All right, John, thank you very much. Wolf Blitzer said to be maintaining 1 hour of complete silence before he takes the stage.
Is that true?
You were doing very heavy calisthenics.
I'm a big believer in calisthenics.
You slapped me hard across the face when I wished you good luck before the debate. So everybody does it different. Let's check in with Sarah Murray, because Donald Trump's certainly the man in the middle. The polls justifying his recent remarks about banning Muslims, and yet the debate has not always been a position of strength for him. What are you hearing about tonight?
Yeah, I think that's right. And look, when he was at his campaign event last night, Trump said, I expect everyone to be going after me. But we do know he's looking forward to tonight, because he tweeted about it, as Donald Trump is prone to do. He said, I am in Trump International Hotel, Las Vegas, getting ready and waiting for the debate tonight. Look forward. Hope I get treated fairly. Look, Donald Trump has spent today doing a little bit of debate prep. He had a meeting with the billionaire Republican donor Sheldon Adelson, who is here in Las Vegas. So it'll be interesting to see if he makes any mention of that. But I think for Trump, the big challenge here, and when I talk to the voters who support him, is, look, we want to see him on stage. We want to see him talk more about his policies. We want to see him come off as very strong on national security. And if you are a voter who is still a little bit undecided, you don't want to see Donald Trump and Ted Cruz go after one another. A lot of folks I talked to here in Las Vegas said that they think that would be the worst possible outcome.
Sarah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we've obviously a big day of news in Los Angeles, where the nation's second largest school system shut down by an email terror threat. Let's go to our justice correspondent, Evan Perez, who's got the latest on that. Evan.
That's right, Anderson. There's no doubt that the San Bernardino terrorist attack has the nation on edge. And we know that this email threat was received by school officials, both in New York and in Los Angeles. And it really sounded ominous. We took a look at one of the messages, and it included mentions of pressure cooker bombs and backpack bombs and a group of
And Allah not spelled with a capital whatever, H, right? Yeah, forget to mention that.
Vulgar mention to male anatomy. And so that's perhaps one reason why New York City officials looked at it and decided that they were going to dismiss it. Here's the New York City Police Commissioner Bill Bratton talking about this terrorist attack. I'm sorry, we don't have the sound right now.
New York made me proud today.
The Los Angeles officials got the same message, and what they decided was that they were going to take, out of an abundance of caution, they were going to close the schools. That means that 650,000 kids and thousands of employees were going to have to stay home today. The FBI is still investigating this message and these threats, because even though it appears to be a hoax, they treat all of these seriously, and it does really show that for the first time probably since 9/11, the fear of terrorism among the American public is very, very high. Chris?
Yeah, no doubt about that. Evan, thanks very much. We'll continue to check in with you as events warrant throughout the evening. The stage is set here at the Venetian. The candidates have done their walkthroughs to get a feel for the space here. We are minutes away from the start of this debate. Wolf Blitzer is on the stage going over last minute questions. Also, Hugh Hewitt will be asking questions, as will Dana Bash. We're here joined not only by Chris Cuomo, Jeff Zeleny, CNN senior Washington correspondent, is here with us. Paul Begala, former Bill Clinton advisor of the Super PAC supporting Hillary Clinton, and also Mike Rogers, the former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. Paul, you've got a kind of a Cheshire Cat grin on your face today. You love debates. What are you going to be looking for tonight?
I do. I've been looking for humor. We haven't seen enough humor from the Republicans, except for Lindsey Graham, who will be on the first debate. He has been hilarious and very charming. Hasn't done him any good in the polls, but it wins my heart. So humor, but also the most important thing in these is differentiation. I mean, they all want to, as Mr. Trump says, bomb the poop out of ISIS, but how, why, where? Who's going to be substantive? Who's going to be able? By the way, like, I don't mean to tell Wolf this job. I would just ask Mr. Trump. There's 5 countries that border Syria. Name them. I mean, you're going to bomb it. You ought to at least know where to send the planes.
But you know,
I bet you $5 you couldn't name one.
Yeah, but as you know, you do that, and then you get attacked for a gotcha question.
Well, that's right. Actually, I'd have my client
the answer to your own question in your case, Begala.
What I know the answer.
All 5?
Oh, sure. Okay, wait. Let me think. Turkey, Iraq, Lebanon, Jordan, and a tiny slice of Israel.
Wrong.
There you go. No, that's right. But no, I'd have my client do it then. In other words, one of his opponents, Ted Cruz, I think probably has greater mastery of the substance. I think Marco Rubio has greater mastery of the substance. I think Chris Christie has greater mastery of the substance, even though they're trailing Mr. Trump. Why not Christie, who's trying to get in the game? Why not Christie turn to him and say, look, I can name the states that border New Jersey, but more importantly, I can also name the states that border Syria.
That would be interesting if one of the other candidates did it, then it wouldn't be the liberal media.
Liberal fact-based media looking at geography. But yeah, I'd have my, if I was advising one of these other politicians, I'd have them do it, because Trump's strength is not the substance, it's the theatrics.
Okay, so let's take Begala as right about that in terms of a conceptual standpoint. But then the reality of how a debate works and how not. Mike Rogers knows intel very well, right? Chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. We're very lucky to have him here. He's on the show New Day this morning. And I say, so, boy, this is going to be all about particulars. You say, no, not in a debate it isn't. It's about projecting the tone that matches the mood of the country. So even if you can't tell the ring around Syria or define what the Levant is, that may not be what wins the night, in your opinion.
Exactly, and I think those kind of gotcha questions don't work.
Is that a gotcha?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, you're under pressure. You have 75 seconds. Even Paul, who knew he was going to ask the question, had to stop for a minute.
For a long time. I mean,
and I had to go in his pocket. I saw him looking at his.
I'm not huge Ivy Leaguer like Mr. Trump. I'm not a state school.
I saw Carville holding up a sign.
I do think style and substance, right? You have to have the style. You have to show poise. You have to show that you have that leadership, that you can rally under some tough circumstances. And the substance part comes not from knowing the 5 countries that surround Syria, but can you frame the problem? Can you frame the danger in a way that people understand it? That you can do in 75 seconds. You know, if you're going to lay out a plan for ISIS in 75 seconds, we're all in trouble, right? Which is the same problem we have with new politics, where everything has to be in 140 characters in a tweet. You're not. If our national security comes down to 140 characters in a tweet, we are in serious trouble. I don't think that's what they need to do tonight. But they just need to show they can be commander in chief.
And to that point, I mean, Chris brought this up earlier with some other guests, is that there's not a lot of light between them on their positions on ISIS. I mean, there's not a huge difference in many of their positions. So it's a tough position to be in, where they're trying to kind of point out their differences, and yet, as you say, in 75 seconds, not an easy thing to do.
And I also think if they can wrap in this notion that, listen, we have a lot of really smart people in the Pentagon and our intelligence services. First thing I'm going to do is make sure I understand all of the threat, the things we've been doing right and the things we've been doing wrong. You start laying out a case like that, Americans start feeling like, all right, first of all, you're not going to go in and just bomb the heck out of the place, right? That's probably not the right answer. You're not going to invade willy-nilly, but you are going to use all the intellect that you have that are experts.
But that is the answer that Donald Trump has given, and it's worked very well for him.
It has, no question about it. I mean, but I think one thing, after covering all of these candidates being out there, they all criticize the Obama administration about what this president has done. That's what I'm watching most for in this debate. We know that Wolf will push them for their own plans, their own particulars on this. And you go to a Donald Trump rally, you talk to people who love him, who love his strength, but they are looking for particulars. So I think this is a different moment for this debate tonight. Look what's happened in the last month. The Paris attack, San Bernardino. So I think this will be a substantive debate, and all these candidates need to say what they would do, not what the president is doing wrong.
But then you hear people call, just so people know what they're hearing behind us. Everybody's being told to take their seats. You can keep talking, but we're getting closer to the big moment of the first debate tonight.
Back to what Jeffrey said about how they attack the president. That's right. As a strategist, I always give my clients, I used to call it home base. Like, here's your safe place. If you don't know what to say this. And for any of these candidates, it would be number one, attack Hillary. Number two, attack President Obama. Number three, attack the media. That plays great in a Republican debate. So if you're flummoxed, if you feel like you're in a bind, go to your safe place. Attack the president, attack Hillary, attack.
They're not going to attack Wolf when he's saying to them tonight the big question.
Watch.
I don't think so.
They're going to be on him. That's not going to do
They'll be attacking Ted Cruz because he is the person now who has the arrows coming from him on each side. And he is so happy about this. I talked to him this afternoon going in, and I said, a lot of people are going after you. He's like, it's great. This is the place where he wants to be here. So I think that Marco Rubio will be going after him. Chris Christie will be going after him. Donald Trump will engage him, no question.
You do hear from people who know Cruz well. He has no fear when it comes to his positions and making his own case. And that's a big asset on a debate stage. But I do think it's going to be very interesting tonight when someone's saying, I'm strong, the president is weak, and Wolf looks at them and says, how? I think it's going to be a big moment tonight to see who says what at that point.
We shall see. We're going to take a quick break. A lot more as the debate approaches. We'll be right back.
So if you're interested, there's a really good article on rollingstone.com about Ted Cruz, a review of his book, and it also talks about the way that he debates. So while you're waiting for the debates to start, you might want to head over to Rolling Stones and read that brilliant article. I unfortunately can't remember the author's name nor the name of the article, but it is a review of Ted Cruz's book that he put out here just before the election so he can do his book tour, disguised or campaigning disguised as a book signing. And it's a really, really good article that goes into how Ted Cruz smartly knows how to, as a good lawyer should do, get as close to the lie as you possibly can without stepping over.
If you think there's no solution to the climate crisis, think again. In America, clean energy is already producing enough power for 18 million homes, reducing our dependence on foreign oil and supporting over 1 million jobs. I'm Tom Steyer. With bold leadership and an endless supply of wind and sun, we can do even more. The goal is 50% clean energy by 2030. So what are we waiting for?
I am the ghost of cookies past. Residue. Well, you didn't use Pam, so it looks like you're stuck with me.
Bargain brand cooking spray leaves annoying residue. That's why there's Pam.
The two people could just fall in love with each other.
Critics are hailing Carol as one of the year's very best films.
If you can't have me, I can't see my daughter.
Now nominated for Golden Globe Awards, including Best Picture of the Year.
I won't deny the truth.
Carol, rated R.
Panic.
There's a monster in my room.
No, oh no. You're okay. Let me show you.
For the highest caliber home security, they're Simply Safe.
Look, the alarm's on and you're safe, and I'd never let anything happen to you, okay?
Simply Safe protects your family around the clock with award-winning professional monitoring and sends emergency alerts up to 10 times faster than ordinary systems, so you know your home is always secure. That's why police departments use Simply Safe, and tech experts call it better, smarter home security. Now you can get 24/7 home protection for less than half what ordinary companies charge, with no long-term contracts. Try it for 60 days. You'll feel confident your family is safe or your money back.
Alarm on.
A special post-debate new day, tomorrow, 5:45 a.m. Eastern on CNN.
Hey, welcome back. We're waiting the start of the CNN Republican presidential debate here at the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas. CNN's Wolf Blitzer moderating two contests tonight, with the first set to begin in just a few minutes. Wolf, there you see on the stage. Hugh Hewitt there as well. Dana Bash there as well. Let's talk with our CNN senior political commentator, David Axelrod, CNN chief political analyst, Gloria Borger, CNN chief national correspondent, John King, and of course, Chris Cuomo as well. I want to take a look at something, David, that Donald Trump tweeted earlier today. Yeah, let's put it up on the screen. He said, "I'm at the Trump International Hotel, Las Vegas, getting ready, waiting for the debate tonight. Look forward. Hope I get treated fairly." He's also been going after Fox News all day. What is he doing here?
He's very delicate.
I mean, I've never heard a candidate talk about being treated with respect, being treated fairly.
You know, I think he's setting up a dynamic where it's him against the establishment, and if he sees a coalescence against him, he is going to take the side of the anti-establishment Republicans. He's trying to hold that ground, and I think this is part of that whole effort.
But I don't know what being treated fairly means. I mean, he's
that means where he gets to be the nominee.
Right. Well, he's threatened to leave the party and run as an independent if he's not treated fairly. Does that mean he shouldn't be challenged on the debate stage by any of the other contenders, or that he shouldn't be challenged by CNN?
Well, look, we know the answer to this question, John
yeah.
King. The answer is he's setting up his expectations for tonight.
Right.
He has not shown as brightly on the debate stage as he does out on the hustings. And this is a very smart thing for him to do, to set up that if somebody punches me in the nose tonight, it wasn't nice no matter how it happens.
Plus, he knows who his voters are. He knows who his voters are. And he's, whatever you think of him policy-wise, he's a master at branding. Treat me fairly. Yeah. His voters, they tend to be lower income. They think they're getting screwed. They don't think they're being treated fairly by the economy, by the politicians, by their own Republican establishment. And Trump is just feeding them. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's his own version of lowering expectations to a
No, I think
degree?
I think that's what happens for the debate stage tonight, where he may take some fire tonight. He's setting that up. But John's exactly right. We've seen it from the beginning. If he is saying anything, you know one thing for sure. There's a purpose behind it. He's not just flailing when he sends out anything. That's what we've learned the hard way in analyzing his success.
What's the purpose behind going after Fox News again, though, today?
Because, well, that has less of a calculus in terms of what.
But I do think that they, in certain ways, are part of the Republican establishment. He's running outside of the traditional Republican lanes.
But Anderson's right also, Ax. That's who he is. He does not back down from a fight. That's part of his self.
Yeah.
And so if Fox comes at him, he's got to go back.
But you're right as well. This is not his event here, and we've seen it. We've seen it before. He does not handle the prolonged, substantive discussions on issues very well.
It is amazing, man, and Chris brought this up earlier to Anna Navarro, how nobody is talking about Jeb Bush. I mean, he's just not in the discussion. And when he has been in the discussion, it's always the same. It's always, gee, do you think he can do any better this time?
I think I don't think it's make or break anymore for Jeb Bush, and that's why we're not talking about him. We're talking about the candidates who are on the rise, not the candidates who are falling. And I think Jeb Bush isn't doing well in New Hampshire at this point, which would have been the state that he would have to win or excel in. And you're looking at candidates like Rubio and Cruz and Chris Christie in that same moderate lane to kind of rise.
But I do think that's an important subplot of this. Jeb Bush was the $100 million man at the beginning. Most people think he's on life support, but this has been a wacky year.
But in that regard, this is all about New Hampshire, because Iowa is about social conservatives. New Hampshire is where those center-right Republicans have to break through. And so this debate has to be seen through the eyes of those New Hampshire voters. And that's why for Christie, this is such a big deal.
I mean, Coop has been right to bring that up. People don't get off the undercard and make it back there. I mean, he's made progress with some tough slots.
And he got a big endorsement in New Hampshire.
True,
which was,
true. And he spent a lot of time there. He's basically moved to New Hampshire. But I think that, the way John sets it up is exactly right, except for what we saw with Bush. In the way that we imagined this, he was supposed to be prominent because of the pedigree, because of what he represents as his past performance and the money. Other than that, it really is where it's supposed to be in terms of where
It's a passion year. Christie's tapping the passion and the anger in New Hampshire right now. Rubio's been a much better debater than Jeb Bush. So on the debate stage, Rubio's been the centrist, and on the campaign trail, it's been Christie.
But Jeb Bush is so crowded this year. Normally, it's the conservative, the conservative line. Look at you've got Kasich, you've got Rubio, saying he's a moderate. You've got Bush. You've got Christie.
Also, Donald Trump kind of stole Chris Christie's "Tell It Like It Is."
Exactly.
We should also point out that Donald Trump is getting a fair share of moderate, self-described moderate voters. I think this is about temperament. Jeb Bush simply doesn't have the right temperament for this year, and he's sort of faded. He's kind of an apparition on this stage.
Just so his history and his experience, and voters aren't looking for that this year.
Just so we know, behind us, they are getting ready. They're telling the audience who all the different people are involved with the debate tonight. Of course, Facebook has been aggregating questions. You got Hugh Hewitt and Dana Bash, who are going to be up there with the Captain Wolf Blitzer. So they're getting everybody ready. People are practicing their applause. And they've been excellent so far.
They've been thanking the various people, the Secret Service, all the people who've been helping make this debate possible. We're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. We are literally just minutes away from the start of the CNN Republican presidential debate.
The Republican presidential debate is brought to you by VoteForEnergy.org, a program of the American Petroleum Institute. Log on to learn more. Go to CNNPolitics.com for trending political stories and the latest news on the campaigns.
America is taking the lead in energy, leading the world in oil and natural gas production. I vote to keep it going. With the right policies, we can produce, refine, and supply
more oil and natural gas. And more abundant energy means more affordable energy for American families.
a more secure America.
Jobs, opportunity, and economic growth. For our children
And grandchildren.
That's why this election I'm voting
For American energy.
Learn more at voteforenergy.org.
Join us and become an energy voter.
When you shine, you know how
Want a fast and easy way to get help with home repairs and improvements? Go to HomeAdvisor.com. HomeAdvisor instantly connects you with top-rated pros you can trust for any type of project. And it's completely free to use. Go to HomeAdvisor.com today.
At Wayfair.com, we think that when the big stuff ships free, it's just better. Just better, cook better, grow better, save better, look better, give better, save better, get better.
So you're saying the big stuff ships for free?
Yeah. Think better, fast better, everything's better when it ships free. Free shipping on orders over $49. Shop better this holiday at Wayfair.com. Wayfair, you got just what I need.
The great beauty of owning a property is that you can create wealth through capital appreciation. And this has been denied to many South Africans for generations. This is an opportunity to right that wrong. The idea was to bring capital into the affordable housing space in South Africa with a fund that offers families of modest income, safe and good accommodation. The city got involved very early on and showed an enormous commitment, and that gave other investors confidence. The city is really unique because they bring deep understanding of what's happening in Africa. I really believe we only live once, And so you need to take an idea that you have and go for it. You have the opportunity to say, I need part of the creation of over 27,000 units of housing and to replicate this across the entire African continent.
I'm taking.
So I have a little technical difficulty, so I will be right back.
This is